Every morning, your body runs a biological process that took millions of years to develop, and most of us simply turn it off with our phone the second that we wake up. I'm going to tell you what that program is, how to optimize it, and what it means for your health. Within moments of waking, before you've touched your phone, before you've had coffee, before you've done literally anything, your body executes one of its most important hormonal events of the day. It's called the cortisol awakening response. It is a sharp spike of cortisol that begins during the late hours of sleep and persists about 1 hour post-wake. This is not a stress response, it's a preparation response to get you ready for the day, to get you prepared to be in a state of deep cognitive focus, concentration, and work. Research published in the Frontiers in Neuroscience confirms that cortisol levels rise rapidly across the first 30 to 45 minutes in the morning after waking up, a sharp burst that has been proposed to be functional in preparing the organism for the challenges of the upcoming day. The magnitude of this surge, which can represent a 38 to 75% increase in the free blood cortisol levels, is hugely important in preparation for your day. It is modulated by your circadian rhythm, and the health of your circadian rhythm is critical to how this is used. It is greatest when you wake at a time that is signified with your biological clock and also aligns with the sunrise, because you can get the early morning sunlight on your eyes to signal your suprachiasmatic nucleus that it is daytime and time to wake up. In simple words, setting and rising with the sun will produce the simplest and most efficient, healthiest cortisol spike in the morning to optimize your performance throughout the day, whether it be athletic, cognitive, or social. The cortisol awakening response primes your immune system, mobilizes glucose for your brain, and activates the neural systems responsible for alertness and decision making. It is the biological equivalent of your body booting up its operating system. When it's disrupted by late night shift work, erratic sleep schedules, or chronic stress, the downstream effects are highly measurable: flattened morning energy, impaired immune function, and degraded mood regulation throughout the day. It's going to damage your relationships. You're not going to know how to talk to people because you're not going to know how to feel yourself. So who runs this operation? How does it work? Where does it come from? I actually already named him. It's the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is located in the hypothalamus of your brain. It's the master clock of the mammalian brain. Every circadian rhythm in your body, every hormone cycle, every temperature fluctuation, every sleep-wake signal is going to run through the SCN. But the SCN cannot see anything. It needs input, and that input comes from a specific class of cells in your retina called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells, iPRGCs, which contain a photopigment called melanopsin. Research published in the NPJ Biological Timing and Sleep confirms that iPRGCs containing melanopsin will send glutamatergic projections via the retinal hypothalamic tract, the RHT, directly to the SCN, where the phase of the circadian clock is shifted by light exposure. Melanopsin is maximally sensitive to short wavelength blue light, approximately 480 nanometers, which is the wavelength most abundant in natural daylight and in the screens of your phone and in the computer. When morning light hits your retina, the iPRGCs will fire. The signal travels to the retinohypothalamic tract to the suprachiasmatic nucleus. The suprachiasmatic nucleus registers it is daytime. It suppresses melatonin, elevates cortisol, increases core body temperature, and initiates the cascade of alerting signals that constitute a fully functioning waking state. When darkness falls, these cells will go quiet. The SCN receives no light signal, and it begins the reciprocal process, the transition into night mode, and that is how your biological clock works, how you wake up in the morning, and how you fall asleep at night. Here's something most people have never been told. Melatonin and serotonin are both produced from these same raw materials, and serotonin is actually converted into melatonin, which is triggered by a process that originates in your SCN. This process begins with an essential amino acid which your body cannot produce, which is called tryptophan. It is found in foods that are rich in protein, such as turkey, chicken, eggs, or beef. Inside specialized cells in the pineal gland called pinealocytes, tryptophan is converted into serotonin through a two-step enzymatic process. Serotonin, the neurotransmitter most associated with mood, calm, and social behavior, accumulates in the pineal gland during daylight hours. Its content is higher during the day and somewhat lower at night. It is your daytime neurochemical, and crucially, the direct precursor to melatonin. When darkness is detected by the suprachiasmatic nucleus, a signal is sent via the sympathetic nervous system to the superior cervical ganglion, which then innervates the pineal gland. This triggers the activation of an enzyme called AANAT, arylaucamine N-acetyltransferase, which converts serotonin to N-acetylserotonin, and then a second enzyme completes the conversion to melatonin. Research published in the PNAS confirms that serotonin acts as an autocrine signal within the pineal gland itself. It primes and promotes its own conversion to melatonin by activating a specific serotonin receptor on the pineal cells. In other words, the serotonin you build up during the day is going to be the substrate that your brain uses to produce melatonin to fall asleep at night. This is not metaphorical, it's a direct biochemical conversion where your daytime mood molecule is going to be converted into your nighttime sleep molecule. The trigger that initiates this conversion is going to be detection of darkness by specific cells in your eyes, the iPRGCs. Let's put the full picture together. In the morning, your cortisol is going to spike in the first 30 to 45 minutes after waking up, priming your body for the day. Light is going to hit your retina when you get outside. The sooner the better, and the suprachiasmatic nucleus is going to activate. Melatonin is now suppressed. Serotonin synthesis begins to rise. Your mood, alertness, and focus will all follow. All of that's going to rise. Throughout the day, serotonin will accumulate. Your circadian cortisol gradually will decline from its morning peak towards your baseline, and your core body temperature will rise. You are at your most cognitively capable in the late morning and early afternoon, a direct consequence of this hormonal choreography. In the evening, light levels will drop, iPRGCs go quiet, and the suprachiasmatic nucleus begins signaling the transition to night mode. AANAT activates in the pineal gland, and the serotonin stockpiled during the day undergoes enzymatic conversion into melatonin, which will make the melatonin levels rise. Core body temperature will drop and sleep pressure will accumulate. The NIH confirms that the conversion of serotonin to melatonin is directly regulated by the SCN of the hypothalamus, which coordinates the body's circadian rhythms, and that information about light conditions is transmitted from the retina through the retinohypothalamic tract to initiate this entire cascade. Every part of this system depends on the one before it. Light triggers the SCN. The SCN governs serotonin and melatonin balance. Serotonin balance governs mood, impulse control, and appetite during the day. Melatonin governs sleep quality and cellular repair at night. Disrupt any one link with artificial light at night with erratic sleep timing and with screens that emit 480 nanometer blue light wavelengths just like daytime sunlight directly into melanopsin-sensitive cells, the entire chain will degrade and you will have a dysfunctional body. Artificial light is easily the most common and most underestimated disruptor of this system. Your phone emits the exact wavelength of light that melanopsin is most sensitive to, and using it in a dark room after sunset tells your body that it's daytime, delaying melatonin onset, compressing serotonin conversion, and fragmenting the sleep process that your body has been evolving for millions of years, the same architecture your brain uses to repair your body. The interventions to protect this system are relatively simple, the most important one being getting morning sunlight directly onto your retina within 30 to 60 minutes of waiting. Now, I'm not saying go outside and stare at the sun. I'm saying go outside, look towards the sky, look at grass, look at bright objects where the sunlight is being reflected off of. Get that sunlight onto your eyes to signal your SCN that it's time to wake up. Another way to protect this system is consistent sleep-wake times. If you go to sleep and wake up at the same time every day, your body is going to know exactly when to start producing the neurochemicals that it needs. Your body is going to begin producing melatonin when it's time to go to sleep. You're going to feel tired the same time every day. You're going to feel focused the same time every day. You're going to be functioning at optimal peak human performance.